got married here, my wife and I did 24 years ago in December. Same church, same building, just like this, 24 years ago. So it's an exciting place to be again. We have 4 doors back here that we're going to use to reflect on this evening. And we're hoping to bring you from the day they met till today. That's our goal with the 4 doors. So look at the first door over here. You see my dad's skates from 1958. Yes, they still work. Remember dad's skates? And they met how? Where'd you guys meet at? There you go. So, there you go. Those are the skates from the rollercade they met many years ago. We've all heard many stories that they had. We're going to ask Melissa to come read something in a moment. And I want you guys to share some stories briefly about before we leave. That's right.
I was up in the attic a few weeks ago looking for my books from kindergarten, and I found Mom and Dad's wedding book. So we were looking at it, and we read this, and this is what Mom wrote about meeting Dad. It says, Eddie and I met at the Angola roller rink in November of 1960. At first, we didn't talk for many months. Finally, one day we were fooling around, and we made a date for the next day for him to come to my house. I didn't really think that he would come, but I was dressed nice just in case he did come. And sure enough, he did. From that day on, it was always Carol and Eddie together. We had many wonderful times. Then in July, Eddie asked me to marry him. I was so happy. It's wonderful when you are in love, really in love. On October 21st, we were married, the happiest day of my life. I'm sure that there will be many more happy days for both of us. And my mom still doodles Carol plus Eddie.
So I checked the people that signed the guest book, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people here today that were there 50 years ago. Uncle Bob, too. Your dad was there, right? Was he there? I think he was.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Bob, the other Uncle Bob.
All his brothers and sisters.
Yeah, so people are here.
Yeah.
All right. Uncle Vern, where's he at? Uncle Si. You guys weren't married at that time?
But Annie
You both signed your own name?
Yep.
It was pretty awesome. 35 people signed the guest book on that day, so there's about as many here today as it was then. So, I know that Dad tells us, and when we were young, Dad would skate in circles when he roller skated. So maybe you guys can reflect on that first date and what you guys did after that.
Wow. Well, I used to be pretty good on roller skates. I didn't dance enough, but I used to do the music
Shuffle.
through music, skate backwards. And actually, I bought them skates when I did a service in 1958 in Boston, Massachusetts. And I used them, well, they're still operable today. The only things are not comfortable because the magnesium bottom on it, and it's humped up in there. I had a lot of fun with them, and I met Carol there. She didn't want nothing to do with it. So I just kept roller skating and going back, and finally one day we left the roller rink, and there used to be a pizzeria down on Lakeshore Road. And Lowry's Pizzeria, and we kind of was actually the first time we ever actually talked. And I don't know, we probably got a pizza or something to eat or pop, I don't remember really. That was probably the next day I probably went out. And actually, the night we started going together was I went to work at Bethlehem Steel on the 311 shift, it was February 12th. And I got there and he says, what are you doing here? I says, I work here. Not this week, you're on vacation. So I went back and seen her again there at the pizzeria. I think that was when we started doing the
You want to tell yourself a story?
Pretty much. Story. Well, I had another boyfriend.
Whoa.
So, back in that day, when you had a boyfriend, and he went to college, so I had pinned, because he pinned me, that was what you did back then. So I had a pin, and I was, dating him. So I didn't want nothing to do with him, because I had another boyfriend. And then I started
on there ever since.
So then, I tell him, well, I gotta break up with this boyfriend because, you know, we want to date. So he gives me the 70 cents to call the boy to break up with him.
You never said that.
That's a pretty good investment. 70 cents? So after that, there became a song that became a resounding theme in their lives and our lives. We heard it over and over, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. We're going to hear it again today. And Randy's going to come sing it for us.
He wants his dad to sing it. Right?
Yeah, I want Dad to sing it.
He didn't want to sing a love song to me.
I'll go sing first with it.
Oh yeah.
We sing this to each other, I sing it to her. Every anniversary.
Did you do it today? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you so. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. You got another one in you? Love me tender, love me long, take me to your heart. For it's there that I belong, and will never part. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. Love me tender, love me dear, tell me you are mine. I'll be yours through all the years, till the end of time. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. Everybody claim their gas last year. Kids, come on. Here we go.
Is that all?
All right, so, of course, you know what happened next? They got married. All right? Aunt Norma was the bridesmaid.
Yep.
And Uncle Vern, he's out here somewhere. Uncle Vern, where you at? There you are.
Right there.
Who's the best man? Right here, this place, 50 years ago. Went back, I saw photos from when I was a kid, and they went back to Grandma and Grandpa Small's house. See pictures there of them all together. Celebrated that. Guess what came next after marriage?
Randall.
So after that became children. The first child was Randy. Before Randy was born, my mother wrote something in the book that Lori's going to read for us.
This is a little, you know how we keep up with each other like 6 months after we get married? Happy hours in our first year. We had our first Christmas together in our own house. As you know, Mom and Dad built the house. My grandpa helped bring all the things in, and they built the house here in Long Beach that we're still living in. That they're still living in. I'm not. to be a family. That is wonderful news.
Okay, so along came all this trouble. Randy was the firstborn in 1962, is that right, Randy? And then followed by Lori in 1963, followed by Mark in 1964. 65, sorry. Followed by me in 1966. And then we had a long, nice break until Melissa showed up in what year was it? 1974. She ruined the fun because I was the primary child at that point. She ruined my attention.
Now, I was the only girl, so I was hoping I would have something besides a brother. So it wasn't a bad thing for me.
We still call her Queenie in spite of her. Okay, so. Not Melissa, Lori was Queenie. That's right. So we all came along, and all those good things happened. Now I want all you guys to come forward up here. Come on up, the 5 of us.
Lori was the queen.
She was.
She's definitely.
One of my most dramatic stories as a child that I remember was when my mother got mad at my father. He took a bucket of water in the kitchen and threw it at him.
That was water rag.
No, it was a bucket of
And there was a time that my brother threw a knife at me in the kitchen and dented the formica on the wall. But
the devil made him do it. The devil made him do it.
one of my most dramatic stories was when Mom threw a bucket of water.
What did I do?
You laugh.
I don't remember.
That is one of the most dramatic things I've ever. That's the maddest I've ever seen the two of them. Ever.
I told her when I got married, because my dad argued and my stepmother argued all the time. I says, if you want to argue, you got to do it by yourself.
And that's no fun.
I think the most amazing thing that I remember, besides the bucket of water, is no matter what Dad's job state was, because steel plant, we never thought anything was any different. We never thought we'd have any less clothes, any less food. It was always even keel, and even though he was laid off, we never knew the difference. So I thought, because growing up now and having a family of your own, you feel that, and you don't always hide that as well as they did. Because sometimes it really is hard to not have money and stuff like that. But we never felt that from Mom or Dad. It was always, it is what it is, and this is life, and this is what you got, and when you're going to change. So I thought that was always a good thing, bad thing, because now that we don't have money all the time, now we got to cope with it. Probably a little bit different than Mom and Dad did.
It's making me eat more Wonder Bread.
Yeah, definitely.
Me? Oh. Well, I'm having one of those midlife kind of things. My kid moved out, and so you kind of rethink a lot of things as you're getting more time. You think of regrets and all those things, but I was just talking last week, and I've had the fairy tale life. I grew up in a wonderful home. Parents, you know what? I gotta tell you first. Mom and Dad made us a video of our whole childhood, like from the time we were born, all those little videos, and we got that last Christmas. And you forget when you get older that you were little once, and your parents were young and they had dreams, and they were cute, and they had, fun things around, and you forget. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, I am so lucky that I was doted on as a baby. My mom had these huge dresses that she put on me, and I was such a lucky girl. And growing up with them, of course, being the only girl, I had no hand-me-downs. And
Ever.
made awesome, like embroidered dresses for all these special days, and all change things, we do things our own way, but really just the way that they parented, I guess, and, you know, took us places and showed us things. And we just had a wonderful growing up years. So.
Didn't Uncle Vern, is he the one that brought you guys here?
Yes,
Yeah,
Uncle
sure.
Vern was the one
Because
who
he wanted
called
to-
on the phone.
Him and his wife wanted to bring you kids to church.
Yeah, and he said, let me take your kids to church. I said, my kids go to church. I'll take them to church.
So I can blame you for 16 years of my life. I only came to church in a church bus. Dad started driving the church bus. We came to Awana clubs here. Probably remember the Awana clubs that were here. Came to Awana clubs for many years. I know your kids, you guys came to Awana clubs with us. Bobby told me some stories. I really remember, I was little back then, but we all came to Awana club. Dad drove a church bus on Thursday nights, brought kids to Awana clubs. Sundays he drove the church bus here to church. And
Bus captain?
yeah, and that was it.
Well, I guess the biggest memory I have is when Mom and Dad started the bus route here at this church. They started traveling around and they were picking up kids, and we got to know a lot of kids in the neighborhood that we never would have got to know otherwise. But through that, you know, late years later, when I was about 14, I joined the bus route with Pastor Cole. At that time, he wasn't a pastor. And we started doing the same thing my parents did, going around and picking kids and helping kids out and trying to show them what kind of life we had and how Christ can change their lives and make it better. And I remember all the years in Christian school. It wasn't always the best school, but
Yeah.
they tried to give us a better education than what we would have had in the public schools. And I think, I don't know, I imagine it's made a difference in our lives.
I'm not an architect.
Oh, there's Brandon. Come on in, Brandon.
Your turn, you're the last one.
Oh, goodness. Let's see. Oh, boy. When I think about Mom and Dad, I just think about the two most steadfast people I know. They've always just been rock solid, and I just love how much Dad loves Mom. It's just, I think it's so cute. He always wants to kiss her, and he always wants to hug her. He always tells her she's beautiful, and I just think it's so cute how much they love each other. But there's so many funny stories we could tell you. My brothers were terrible to me. They were so mean to me. They locked me in their hockey equipment all the time. They would put me in there. Craig played hockey, and so Mark was the goalie. Did you play too, Randy? Okay, well, Craig had the bag, this big brown bag, I can vividly recall it. And Craig would take me, and I was, you know, little, I was 6 or 7 years old, and they would put me in the hockey bag, and they would zip it up. And I didn't know, like, how to get out, you know? So I would just be in there, like, let it out. So they would just, yes, they locked me in Mark's goalie pad, my arms and everything. And I hopped around the house, and they all just laughed. I was the baby of the family, and I still very much am. My mom spent countless hours doting on me and loving me and spoiling me rotten, unfortunately for my husband, who has to put up with that. But my mom is my best friend, and I call her every single day and talk to her. And when I'm sad, I call her, and when I'm happy, I call her. And anytime I need something done, I call my dad. And he'll come over and he'll do anything for me. But one of the things that stood out to me, Lori was talking about the video that they made, was watching them be parents, you know, and how they acted with us as kids. And it's so cool that the same way they acted then is the same way they act now with my son, their grandkid, and their great-grandkids. They still are that loving and that attentive, and I just thought that was so cool to see that, you know, that stayed with them. And I asked Mom, I said, why did you have 5 kids? You had a boy and a girl, why weren't you done, you know? And she's like, I just love babies. And I'm like, but we grew up. And she's like, but I still love you. So I love you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for being such a good example.
Wow, he's getting a lot of kisses.
Stop shaking.
Number 1 was dating and marriage. You see that Durham 7? That was in the basement of our house. And somebody painted over it. Who did that?
Oh,
We
That was
hockey in the basement.
that was my whole childhood right there.
In the basement of the house. Mark was the goalie. Me and Randy would shoot on the goalie. He showed me bruises all over his knees he has to this day. From all the puck.
Coach Craig had to freeze it.
Of course. In the basement. So you see these wonderful pictures of us? They look for the worst pictures they could find of us, the biggest dork mode possible, and they hung them up on that door. So feel free to peruse them later. Yeah, so that's the order.
And that's my baby outfit.
I now work for a phone company, and I've looked up the phone number that was on that old telephone, and I can find no way to get back to our family, but 0758 used to ring on that phone many years ago.
But we had that exact phone for way
Yeah, before
long.
that was 0758.
Do you really?
So anyway.
So that was it out of my house. That's the one.
No, it's a different one.
That's Heather Church.
Same thing, same color.
Every color and everything.
So door number 1 was dating and marriage. Door number 2 was the 5 children that are now old people. Door number 3, grandkids. There's a bunch of grandkids here today. I hope I got them all down there. I asked several people to help me. There is Randy, Justin. Randy's in Korea. Justin's in Texas. Heather is out there somewhere. Heather. Brandon. John. I hope I'm in order too. Devin. She should be next in order. Sound about right?
Yep.
Then Aaron. Aaron's in the back. Caitlin. Scott. Scott, yeah, Scott's here. Brittany, Timmy, and Carson. Did you get everybody?
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. So mom and dad love them and spoil them, and my kids are old now. My son's 22, my daughter's 20, and I told them, I said, I cannot wait till you have children because I'm going to spoil them and not. If they home every night.
No, it's not happening.
So now mom and dad have great grandchildren. There's 2 of them right here. There's Bree and Ryland. Bree is floating out the back, and there's Ryland right there. So there's a bunch of grandkids here now. I hate to say it, at one point we were their pride and joy until Melissa came by and ruined it all for us. And the grandkids were their pride and joy until the new ones came along and ruined it all for them.
Somebody said it. That's a cycle of life.
So we'd like to have the grandkids, if you want to come say a good story, a good memory about Grandma and Grandpa and time you spent together. You guys come on up.
One quick story.
John, want to do it?
Yeah, you want to do it? It's just videoing right now, so.
Is it going?
Yeah, it's just going right now.
If you don't have this, Andy, you want to, you can, you're welcome to. So why don't you start us off, Kenny?
Sweet. Okay. So I guess like favorite story like of all time would probably be the time that I don't know, there's so many good ones. I guess one of them would be how I used to go to Rainbow Lake every year with the grandparents.
Yeah.
And that's like one of my favorite childhood memories was one time we went there and it was me, Brandon, Aaron, Heather, Kate, and went there and we decided we would rent kayaks, so we got kayaks or we got them. And we went kayaking for the afternoon, and then after that, Grandpa would go take us down by the water, and we'd go fishing, but we didn't actually want to eat the fish. So we would reel them in, and he'd unhook them for us, and we'd throw them back in the water. And every time. But it was just, like, amazing. And, like, stories when I was a little kid, Grandma used to cut my hair. And I couldn't call her Grandma, so I called her Mona. So I called her Grandma Mona. And I even wrote like, a song, I made a song about her. And yeah. So many good ones, but those are some of my favorites. So who's next?
I'll go. Yeah. Along with that, obviously we have a lot of things. We used to always go to Rainbow Lake, and like Grandma and Grandpa's house was definitely like the house. Like that was the center. You know, because we're all scattered across the country now, but we all still live around here. You know, that was the house. When we wanted to have a family gathering, we all went to their house, and you know, I have same thing, too many memories. But like, you know, to name a few, you know, we wanted to play hockey at Grandpa's. He'd give us some couch cushions, tape them up, you know, make sticks out of wood, and play hockey outside. And like, you know, anything we needed, we wanted to play swords. He'd make us swords. We wanted to fly planes. He'd make us a plane. You know, he made everything.
I feel like how many times you went over there, he would make a new sword.
Yeah, you know, we lose them. favorite was just, I tell them about it all the time, because we used to go over there and they had acorns all over the yard, because they have an acorn tree in their yard. And Grandma would be like, hey guys, go outside and pick up some acorns, put them in some bags, I'll give you some money. We're like, let's do this, you know, we go outside. I mean, I know I did. We had a bag, and we would pick them all, I mean, if there was one left, you know, like they didn't tell us, but we made sure there was none, you know, so we put them all in a bag, put them somewhere. And Grandma, there used to be a store around the corner, she'd be like, here's 15 cents. And I was like, I can get an airhead, 15 fishies, maybe 3 Tootsie Rolls. That was a big deal. The whole walk there was just the biggest decision. It was very, very intense, but, I mean, obviously, besides all the good memories we had, one thing I have to say about Grandma and Grandpa is that I love them like crazy. And one thing I have to say that they do well as grandparents is they don't really show their vulnerability, which sometimes is a good thing, but at the same time, I always looked at Grandpa as invincible. You know, he just seemed, I always remember my grandpa's strong hands. You know, he had a soft front but a hard back. You know, he knew how to control you, he knew how to listen to you. And even Grandma, she's just always there. No matter what you told her, she was interested and she cared and she was like, no, you know? Go ahead, do it, you know? And that's one thing I have to say about them is that for them to be married that long is truly amazing. But there's song lyrics that I think are very true, and I think a lot of marriages nowadays go down. I think the one thing that they're a good representation of is if it doesn't break your heart, it isn't love. And I think that's very true with families. You know, if it didn't hurt you, then you wouldn't care. And I think that's something that holds true with our family and every family, in that they show a good thing up, and they're just very loving, and they're the best. I love you guys.
I love you too.
Anybody else?
I guess I'll go next. Oh, I guess my biggest memories are Grandma, because she always makes pizza. And cookies, of course. We would always, like, every Wednesday after church was, like, the official night. Like, she had to expect it. We made up a song that we would ask her to make pizza every Wednesday. She always did, every time. Even to this day, when I go to her house, I say, Grandma, can you make chocolate chip cookies? And she'll make them every time. She had a broken shoulder, and I had her in the kitchen mixing up cookies. But that was one thing they always remember. She always colored with us when we were kids. She was always there to color Precious Moments coloring book. And of course, Grandpa making the guns, because he would make those all the time. And oh my goodness, there's so many memories. Rainbow Lake was one of my favorites, and wow, there's a lot. So I guess I could go on all night with memories, but they're always there to listen. I mean, I always tell people, I was like, you can tell your grandparents anything, and they don't judge you. They don't act like you're a bad person. They just listen. And you guys are cool. I tell people, because I'll say, oh, I'm going to my grandma's after work, and people are like, oh. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. My grandparents are cool. You guys, and I'm very proud to be your granddaughter.
I'll be the obnoxious guy that tells you many stories. I've seen Grandpa in a lot of different scenarios, underneath cars and falling 2 stories out of his attic, throwing wood into his forehead and seeing his finger cut off.
If there isn't blood on it, it's not done.
The best, I must say, is Grandma and Grandpa took me out once. I don't know how old I was, but they wanted to get me away from everybody, and they took me out to Texas for a pretty long road trip. And I remember the best part about it was we were somewhere in Arkansas, or the Grandma was singing a song. She created a song, Who Put the Ark in Arkansas? Every state had a great song except for that, so she made it. So we're at a 4-lane intersection, and we were going the wrong way, so Grandpa just decided that we're in a little mid-sized sedan, but we have an RV and a trailer behind us. So he, in the middle of rush hour, starts a 3-point turn. I know Grandpa's a good driver, but I mean, nobody could have done that. We spent about 7, literally, it was probably 7 minutes, making 90 maneuvers with traffic. We backed up through the intersection. It probably had to have been a mile, and not one person beeped. So you know how bad the situation was.
They felt so bad for Eddie that they just let him be.
And the one memory I have of Grandma that really rings loud of funny funny stories is one time, Grandma and I think they all went to Erie every 3 weeks.
Once a week.
Cheese. They justified mozzarella cheese. Not really related to gas prices. But Grandpa was watching us, so we were all hanging out, and he guessed Grandma was gone, so Grandma was like, I'm doing this thing, we're going to have a good time with my grandsons, and I'm going to bake you guys chocolate chip cookies. So Grandpa gets out the recipe book, and he follows the recipe pretty good and bakes his chocolate chip cookies, and then so we're having a great time, and Grandma comes home, and it was like World War III went on. You don't touch a woman's kitchen, you don't touch your recipes, and she let us all know, so none of us are ever going to bake our kids chocolate chip cookies.
That's awesome.
They're a good example for us as kids to see what real love is, and love isn't perfect, love is difficult, but it's a beautiful thing to see what happens when you stick through it, and it's like, I guess like what they say, it's like a fine wine, it just gets better with age. So, I like it, guys.
All right, any more volunteers? This crew?
Speech class practice. My favorite memory is coloring with Grandma. That's just like every time I think of Grandma, like I'm bringing over coloring books tomorrow and we're doing that. But like my favorite overall memory was going to Boston, and I was like 5, and I was like, Grandma, are we there yet? And you were crying all the time. You were back of that red van. It was good stuff.
The mouse horn.
I gave her to Lori because I couldn't take it in.
That's so hard.
So much fun. But
She was so little, I don't know
I was
why. She was
5.
like, Craig and Ann weren't there.
I don't even know why I took her.
But she was. And then I said to Mom later, why were you so hysterical? She was like, I don't remember that.
I will back to Grandma. Caitlin did ask, "Are we there yet?" And I need 100. Like I just thought we were there though. We're there, yes. No.
And there's the rest of it.
All right. Okay, any more stories? You guys want to tell me stories? Oh, go ahead, Brittany.
My favorite memory is when we just did the Easter egg hunt all the time with
Oh,
their
yeah.
And Brandon always got to go.
Always.
Every time. I had an inside guy.
And then I think the last one we did, John got it.
Yeah, champ. Going good notes.
Whatever.
That's awesome.
Oh, I got one more to add on because it's funny. I just want to say my relationship with Grandpa has grown a lot closer over the last 2 years. I got married 3 years ago, and I had a son last year, and I'm really broke. So Grandpa is now my on-the-line mechanic. So we talk probably once a day, and he always solves my car troubles every time.
It's genetic, dude.
Yep, that's good.
I was his
Lifeline.
telephone mechanic.
Now he's mine.
It's creating a generation of mechanics.
That's right. You got something, Scott? Go
I
ahead.
would just say that they made holidays awesome. Yeah, especially Christmas.
Well, you figured we didn't want to do this at your funeral, so let's do it now.
Amen. It's so much better.
All right, thank you, grandchildren.
Did Carson want to say something?
Okay, so, of course, you saw the grandkids here. All the good memories, all the kids. And the last component, of course, is the golden years now.
You can lean on the thing.
And there's a place that they wanted to escape the winters. How many years ago was that? Florida, the first time in the RV?
Oh, probably 94.
94. Dad retired after 230 years of steel plant, and they bought an RV and they drove to Florida to escape the snow. They bought a different RV to escape the snow. And they ended up buying a place to escape the snow. And they bought another place to escape the snow. And now they're pretty much there half the year. So in the golden years, they'd enjoy trips. They'd come out to our house in California for weeks at a time. Of course, they've been crisscrossing America, doing RV excursions all over the place. And they just enjoyed all that time to capture all these moments and to build all these moments up in the golden years. Of course, I don't know how this happened, but almost Dad's whole family relocated to Florida. So, how many brothers and sisters do you have that, when you first moved in, how many were there, brothers and sisters?
Three.
Three brothers and sisters, so it's like family time now with Uncle Vern, and Mark and Dottie live down there, and other relatives, yeah, all kinds of kids and everything else. So they've enjoyed the summers being around the family in Western New York. They've enjoyed leaving in October, beginning of November, to escape the snow, coming back Thanksgiving and Christmas, and escape it again until April or May, wherever they feel like coming back. And that's what they've done in the golden years. Florida, cross country, drives and seeing things and going places. Remember, they came out to our house. They thought they were having a great vacation in 2003. So for Southern California, started on fire.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
Literally started on fire.
Yeah.
And every highway leaving Southern California was closed because of the fires.
Grandma wanted to
My
rush.
mother didn't want to be there because she was going to get burned up.
So she was gonna.
She hopped in the RV and made it all the way to Walmart. She never
Made
drove
it all
back
the way to
again after that.
Walmart.
That was so true. I remember that.
About 6 miles from the house and roads were closed from there. So with that, we think of the golden years, and Mark's going to come and sing us a song.
I would have to say this song is dedicated to my mom and dad. It's called I've Had a Wonderful Life, and I think, they've had that. There's been ups and downs and troubles and hardships and trials and times where we call and they wish we hadn't. And, even through it all, they still love us and they still appreciate being around us. So. I've had a wonderful life. Oh, the Lord's been so good to me. I've had a wonderful life. If tomorrow I never see, if I had no more blessings in store, I'd never ask or wonder why. If I died today, I could honestly say I've had a wonderful life. I've had some good times and I've seen the bad, but thanks to Jesus, my heart's not sad. I'm happy today. Even though I had some regrets, there's one first I'll never forget. Jesus been by my side all the way. I've had a wonderful life. Oh, the Lord's been so good to me. I've had a wonderful life. If tomorrow I never see, if I had no more blessings in store, I'd never ask or wonder why. If I died today, I could honestly say I've had a wonderful life. The Lord's been so good to me. I've had a wonderful life. If tomorrow I never see, if I had no more blessings in store, I'd never ask or wonder why. If I died today, I could honestly say I've had a wonderful life. But tomorrow, blessings in store, I'd never
stand up. And you can hold the hands there. Pastor Cole's going to come down. Do I have to?
Whoa, you're not married yet.
Yeah, you're not married yet.
Whoa.
All right, this way. I don't either.
We've got keepsake programs here for you that have nothing to do with the program tonight.
That's our fault.
When I got here, Frank said we're changing everything. But you can have one later.
Yeah, we'll pass those out.
We'll pass them out.
Absolutely.
We'll just keep them for your collection. All right. Well, if you, Edward, and you, Carol, will renew your love for each other at this time as partners for life, will you please face each other and join hands? Ed, will you continue to keep this woman as your wedded wife and love her, honor, and keep her in sickness as in health, in poverty as in wealth, and forsaking all others, keep yourself only under her as long as you both shall live? Do you so promise? I do, I will, whatever.
He has.
Carol, will you continue to keep this man as your wedded husband? Will you continue to love and honor him and keep him in sickness as in health, in poverty as in wealth, and forsaking all others? Keep yourself only unto him so long as you both shall live. Do you so promise? Okay. Ed, would you repeat the following vows to Carol? I, Edward Ivan Durham,
I, Edward Ivan Durham,
promise to keep thee, Carol Ann Durham,
promise to keep Carol Ann Durham
as my wedded wife,
as my wedded wife,
to have and to hold,
from
this day forward, for better for worse, for richer for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and cherish, till death do us part. Carol, I, Carol Ann Durham, promise to keep thee, Edward Ivan Durham, as my wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better for worse, for richer for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love, honor, and cherish, till death do us part. Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for this wonderful time that we have had in the house of the Lord tonight, and the great job the children have done, the grandchildren, in making this moment special. We thank you so much for these renewed vows and for these two that have been such a good testimony to thy holy institution of marriage. And Lord, I just pray that thy hand of blessing be upon them, and Lord, that you give them strength and grace for anything they would yet face, and just thank you for the testimony that they have been to so many of us. And now, Lord, bless and keep them, as well as their children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren who are sometimes scattered so far. And just thank you for all you've done for their life and in and through their lives. And we'll bless you for it now in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Ed, you may kiss the bride.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. My arm hurts super bad. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's like, wait, my arm won't go anywhere else now? Hold on. What's up?